Babylon strikes again in the non-fiction category. Another honorable mention. Please welcome Danforth Prince.
It is a great honor to be here. Thank you. It is especially appreciated that this comes from a group of critics based in Los Angeles. I'm president of Blood Moon Productions. It's a publishing house based in New York City, and its corporate mission involves salvaging the oral histories of Hollywood's underbelly before the source material dries up and dies forever. We take the accumulated gossip that may have been bandied around many, many drunken dinner parties in the Hollywood Hills. We put it into rather hefty books. This is the Howard Hughes books that we've been honored with one of the awards for. And we publish them with good library indexes as an attempt to transform these oral histories into a permanent body of literary research and literature, if you like. Reference books, if you like. I think what's most surprising to me is that it hasn't been done before by thousands of other witnesses to the Hollywood scene. So the committee has honored us with an honorable mention for biography for a 2010 release of Darwin Porter's Howard Hughes' Hell's Angel. There are many, many biographies about Howard Hughes as his role as an industrialist, as an aviation pioneer. I don't think there's any other book that focuses as aggressively on his years in Hollywood, and this is Hollywood. This is one of them. Thank you very much for that award. The other book we've been honored with is Hollywood Babylon. We realized that Kenneth Anger started a Hollywood series in the 60s. We picked up where he left off. We did a perhaps lighter version of the Hollywood Babylon. This is our second in our series. All the scandals unfit to print from the golden age of Hollywood put into 400 pages of hardcover. It's fun. Thank you for looking at it. We're especially honored to have the author, co-author of a book we're releasing this week. We have a book release this week. It's Damn You, Scarlett O'Hara. It's the first biography. It's the private lives of Vivien Leigh and Laurence Olivier. The author, yes, it's quite a book. No one has ever really looked at their private lives. There's a lot of biographies out there. None of them were particularly covering the anguish of their private domestic strife. Quite dramatic it was. It's 720 pages indexed. It's out this week, and we're honored to have Roy Moseley, a witness to the West End Hollywood brouhahas and intimate of both Larry and Vivien, and Roy Moseley is with us tonight. Roy is something of a national treasure, a resident now of Los Angeles. I'd love it if all of you could get to know Roy. Thank you to the JM Northern Media Group for these honors. We're thrilled, we really are. Coming to Los Angeles for me, based in New York, is like coming to Jerusalem. Holy Hill, I'm on it. Thank you to JM Northern. We've been very honored to have received 2 honorable mentions from the Los Angeles Book Festival. And we are today, March 4th, 2011, and I'm in the lobby on the mezzanine of the historic Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, standing here with one of our authors, the co-author of a book that we have released last week, Mr. Roy Moseley. Hello.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Roy. Thank you so much for coming. And I have never before appeared on film with Roy. For me, it's a historic first, and how lucky I am that he is a part of our writers group. Roy Moseley. Hi. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Let me tell the story. Ding-a-ling went my phone one day, and Roy Moseley called, and he said, I was the assistant to Larry Olivier and a dear, dear friend of Vivien, and I have interesting material that would be probably useful for publication. And I looked at our editorial agenda, and indeed we were about to begin work on a biography of Larry and Vivien already. So we incorporated Roy into our stable of authors. Roy contributed heavily to the texts, also being prepared by co-author Darwin Porter, and how lucky we are that Roy brought his wealth of information to our Blood Moon project, released this week. As I understand Roy, he really was a man on the inside edge of all aspects associated with the arts in the West End of London. Roy was there, Roy was in the center of it, Roy was a gadabout, Roy was burying the bodies when they needed to be buried, he was making the right introductions, he went to the right parties. Even today, here as a resident of Los Angeles, he is a conduit to the gossip about what was going on in the Golden Age. He is an illustrious addition to the city of Los Angeles, sought after by authors and archives. It's true. It's
Yeah,
all true.
I feel so old because I'm the last one.
Well,
Knew them.
that's true. You really are,
Yeah.
in some way, a national treasure. You are the last remaining person. There aren't very many of you left who really were on site in the West End.
It's true. And,
How do you-
and with the movie people, with everybody
Yes.
in the business.
Yes.
And but with Laurence Olivier and Vivien Leigh, it was special
Why? Why was it special?
because I was 9 when I first met Olivier.
How did you first meet Olivia when you were 9?
An actor came to the prep school I was at in England, in Surrey, and lectured about the theatre. And I went up to him afterwards and asked if I could meet Laurence Olivier, because I knew he was working with him. And I got severely caned as a punishment by the
Cane,
that was whacked on the backside
Oh dear.
as a punishment for doing such a criminal thing as to ask the guest if he would introduce me to Laurence Olivier. However, he did say, get your mother to bring you backstage at the theatre where he was appearing. And I got my mother to do just that. But they were closed. There was no performance that day. And I was very disappointed. My mother walked me backstage to the stage door, and there was this man, Miles Mellison, a very famous man, who said I could meet Laurence Olivier. So I said, you said, sir, that you would let me meet Laurence Olivier. I was 9 years old. I asked to repeat that. Not anymore. And he just opened the door and said, Larry, there's somebody to see you. And there was Laurence Olivier in person.
And later you worked really as Laurence Olivier's dresser, his assistant, you did everything.
In different ways, but not, I wasn't employed conditionally as his dresser, because he had a dresser, but I would do specials with him. I'd do all his charity shows with him. He'd ring up, he'd say, the show's going to be for the Actors Benevolent Fund is one thing, and I would do all those things. I would do anything with him. But then I got to know him very well, and then Vivien came into my life, and this is about a few years before the divorce, and she came in at a very different point in a way.
This is what Blood Moon does, and how nice it is to see Roy Moseley here at the award ceremony at the Roosevelt Hotel.
As well, because you've opened up a very necessary door to understanding these people.
Well, we're only as good as our source material brings to the project, and how lucky we are to have it.
You allow it.
Well, we not only allow it, we realize that if we did another standard biography of Miss Betty Davis, it would go down like a lead balloon. It would absolutely tank. Nobody wants to read all those standard old legends again.
Well, the same thing with the Oliviers. I mean, the books on Laurence Olivier and Vivien Leigh are banal. They're crazy.
It has been said that Vivien probably would not have liked the earlier biographies published about her. They weren't.
No, they had nothing in them. She was full of life and fire, and beauty and talent, and they dulled her down on the blank page.
Well, let's review some facts about Miss Lee that was so intriguing to me. Evidently, she was the victim of, may I say, bipolar schizophrenia, perhaps.
Yes, she was, and I was present when her suffering took place. I saw it. But I would like to say here and now, I might as well, that she was as beautiful inside as out, whatever we've written.
Now you were present at her deathbed about 30 minutes before she actually died, I believe. You were one of the very last people.
I was the last.
One of the stories you told me was some emotional counseling which Miss Lee gave you during a moment of great depression. She was a Roman Catholic. You met her.
Lapsed Catholic. You always used to correct me.
Would those be her words?
Yes,
I was a lapsed
I'm a
Catholic.
lapsed Catholic.
Clever, yes. And you were depressed, a bad period of your life. She recognized this. She zeroed in on you like a laser beam.
Yeah.
And you were one of several people in her entourage. And she did what? She demanded that you accompany her to midnight mass at what church was that in London?
Christmas Eve, Palm Street Catholic Church.
Yes.
Mayfair on Christmas Eve.
Yes, so Christmas Eve service, you are there with Vivien Leigh, herself a lapsed Catholic.
Yeah.
Were you raised as a Catholic?
No.
But she incorporated you into her spiritual world.
Yes, which was a general world. It was not particularly Catholic, Christian, Jewish, anything. She loved people.
Indeed. And you maintained that she spoke immediately and directly to your spiritual and emotional crisis of the minute.
Absolutely.
You have often spoken about her ability to zero in perfectly on the emotional context
Of
of the moment.
anybody that she concentrated on or she liked. And if anybody had any trouble, I used to call her clairvoyant.
Yes.
She'd say, well, what's wrong?
Yes.
And if you tell her, and then she'd rub her hands together like a laborer, and she'd say, now let's put it right.
Yes.
And I used her brilliance and skill and kindness several times.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. And Larry, you had a very particular friendship with Larry. Tell me about that.
He was the most normal, natural, wonderful human being. I mean, to have those looks, that talent. You think, I'm with Sir Laurence Olivier, and yet you were with Larry.
Yes.
And he intended that, not only for me.
Yes,
he
yes.
intended that. If people spoke to him, he'd say, well, call me Larry.
Yes, yes.
If he worked with people, call me Larry. But he was full of fun, very campy.
Very campy.
Yes, he was very
indeed.
campy. Of course he was.
Yes.
And the attraction that he dispensed is the only word I can say. I mean, who could say no to Laurence Olivier?
Now, your book, your and Darwin's book, ends pretty much with the divorce of Larry and Vivian. It does not cover his years with Dame Joan Plowright.
No, well, it's a fortunate place that Darwin so cleverly chose, because immediately after we lost Vivian, Larry became ill for all the rest of his life.
Fascinating.
So there really is nothing to tell, nothing to discuss with Laurence.
It was a great love affair they had.
With Vivian Lee.
Ooh.
He died with her.
Changing the subject just a bit, I have been impressed with the degree to which Roy Moseley has handled stars, has handled artists. Roy maneuvered through the West End of London, maneuvered through Hollywood, handling the egos of large male egos of, among others, Larry Olivier. I am today indeed honored to be the publisher of Roy Moseley, and I occasionally reflect that Roy at his best handles me with the same skill that he handled such other stars as Tony Perkins and Laurence Olivier. It appears, the member of a continuing chain of male egos that Roy has successfully handled. Bravo to Roy. We are very happy with the Los Angeles Book Festival for the awards that they've given Blood Moon at this event, and it's indeed a joy to talk to Roy Moseley, co-author of our present release, Damn You, Scarlett O'Hara, The Private Lives of Vivian Lee and Laurence Olivier. Thank you. I have the honor of talking to the organizer of the Los Angeles Book Festival, Mr. Bruce Herring. We are here in the Roosevelt Hotel, Los Angeles, in the wake of the kindness of this organization to grant 2 honorable mentions to Blood Moon titles for 2010. Not a lot of people know who Bruce is. They don't know a lot about you.
That's intentional, of course.
You organize many book festivals, many awards, including the DIY Festival.
Sure. Yes, the Do-It-Yourself convention was our first one. We started it 10 years ago to honor film, music, and books produced at the assistance of multinational corporations.
It's very interesting the way you are almost cornering the book festival market in America. You're doing a lot of these in a very interesting, effective way. You're bringing to the light of greater publicity publishers whose books might otherwise go unnoticed.
Well, it's very kind of you to say that, but it's not about me or it's not about our organization. It's about the people who are producing the work. And anything we can do to shine a greater light on what they're doing and help them towards greater glory is all about what we do.
That's terrific. And you were a reporter for USA Today once, I believe.
That's correct. I was a reporter for USA Today. I've written for Billboard, Variety, a number of publications, newspapers, and magazines. I've written 5 books myself.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce. Very nice to see your involvement in the DIY festivals and in the book festivals you're doing. It's nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.